Yo guys, what is up? Today I come to you yet with another weekly review of Days. We're at episode 15, so we're a little bit over the halfway mark of this series. So, they have a practice match because, they had the training camp for 5 days and I think 4 nights. So in this episode, they're playing against this other team. And there was one particular character that stood out on that team that they really focused on the most. He had very sparkly hair, and he somewhat reminded me of this new series that came out this fall called Nambaka, where everything and everyone is very sparkly. But I don't think they mentioned his name in the episode, so I didn't really pay attention to that. The fact that he did pull a foul, like he hit Tsukamoto and the ref didn't even call that out. But if you watch enough sports anime, you know that the ref is completely useless. And sometimes they call out things that really didn't need to be called out on, and things that should have been called out on, it's like they're completely blind. So you should be expecting and not surprised that that happened in this episode. So one thing I have to say is that, like, the I have to give the MC award. The one who really stood out in this episode is Haibara-senpai. Now, we did see him, several times in the show, but we never really got down into his character until this episode. So he is a third year, but you would have never expected that if he never voiced that opinion, never voiced that statement. So Haibara is a third year, and he was put on the starting lineup for this match. And he's basically, because he is the oldest on the team so far on the field, he has to be able to manage the younger members. He has to be able to give out instructions on what they should do or what they should fix. And one of the many advices he gave, especially to Tsukamoto, that was very helpful. I think it's the most helpful advice that Tsukamoto could have ever received. Not that the others that he has gotten did not help, but the fact, because these two characters are very similar in the sense of by physical attributes. Both of them are the smallest members on Seiseki's soccer team, and they're not the most physically strongest. So the advice that Haibara Senpai gave to Tsukamoto was that because we lack these attributes about ourselves, what we have to start using is our heads. So since you lack them as well, you have to start thinking, what is it that I lack? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And then start thinking about those and start using them and putting into effect on the field. So Tsukamoto was put on defense. He was put on the back, so he had to defend, and he didn't really know how to play that position because he was always so used to being, up front and being, the offender or something like that. So once the coach switched his position, he was kind of confused and lost on what he was supposed to do. But after receiving that advice, he started using that, where he started to defend the ball, even though he was very afraid of trying to attack his opponent. So we don't know what was the outcome, if Seiseki won or they lost after the end of the match. But it came where the coach, everybody's having lunch and they're having their break after a long day of practice and, practice matches. The coach switches Tsukamoto back to his position. And then we go into the locker room where they're talking about strategies for the next game, for the next day, and which starting lineup they're going with. And you see everybody's going like, oh, I'm going to take your position, or you're not going to take my position. And Tsukamoto is not feeling comfortable with that, because before all of this, he was a guy that was practically by himself. He doesn't know what it's like to, have playful banters or fight with someone, but not to a certain scale, have rivalries, and he doesn't know how to cope with that. So he's starting to think, what's the point of being on this team if I can't even do something like that? Like, I'm holding back the team, and like, is this really for me? So all of this, even though we really haven't seen, we've seen where Tsukamoto is constantly, throughout the episodes, like, I need to get better, or there were times where he doubted himself, but I guess it came down all crushing down onto him in this episode, and he's starting to question, like, is there really a need for me to be on this team? And that's when he encounters Kazuma, and he's speaking to Kazuma about this. And Kazuma is like, whatever decision you make, because it's all up to you by the end of the day, whatever decision you plan to take, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be your friend. So even if you don't want to play soccer no more, you don't want to be on the team, that's not going to change the fact that of our relationship. It's not going to change the fact that you are the one that basically helped me love soccer again, and that you helped the team and gave them motivation. So he's basically telling Tsukamoto, it's like, you choose what you want to do. Think of what your answer is, and then you figure out what needs to be done after you figure out what it is. So it comes to the next day where there's a next match, and they're going against a school, Ryoshin. And Tsukamoto still didn't find an answer that he wanted, but he looks to seem to be a lot more better than he was the day before. So probably as he's going to play that game against his school, he's going to find his answer, or find part of that answer to his question on like what he needs to do from now on, because running is not all that is needed in soccer. So probably the answer he's going to find is in that game, back in his old position. So that was basically it for the episode, and hopefully we get to see where Tsukamoto is capable of answering his own questions from now on and getting better, hopefully, as we get closer to the ending of this series. So if you saw this week's episode of Days, drop a comment down below on what your thoughts on it and what are your thoughts for the next episode to come. The links are in the description box as always, you guys can check that out. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!